So my wife and I this morning brought our 3-year-old daughter to a sea turtle release where the turtle hospital, nurses these turtles that are found, whether it's sick, hurt, whatever, and they nurse them back to health, and then eventually, hopefully, they release them back out into the ocean. And so we went to this event this morning to watch 6 sea turtles be released back into the ocean. And we got chatting with this woman who lives in Raleigh, but she has a vacation home on the beach, and that's where her and her family like to take vacations. They do their holidays there, and then she also does a bunch of long weekends, comes up here on a Thursday through Sunday, and then drives back 2.5 hours or so to Raleigh. And I just got an overwhelming sense of gratitude that we live here, and we can now raise our daughter here in the area. And, that's just something that makes us extremely happy that we live in one of the most beautiful places on earth that people, have their vacation homes on, right? People retire here. It's just one of those areas that people retire on and they vacation to, right? But to say that we actually live here, we are beyond grateful for the fact that we do live here and the opportunities that we've been afforded. But I wanted to come on and make a video just sharing some of the things that make Wilmington such a great area to live in, and list out some of the reasons that people absolutely love the area. Number 1 on the list is the affordable cost of living. Wilmington, North Carolina is right on par with the national average as far as cost of living goes. And for being directly on the coast, that speaks volumes to the fact that, people are moving here simply because they can get this close to the beach and not have to spend $1 million just to get your groceries, gas, restaurants, rent, or buying a home, right? So being on par with the national average is great because you won't see that in a lot of other vacation destinations, especially out west or northeast. So the fact that people can move here and actually still afford to live is remarkable, and that is a major factor why people are moving here. Number 2 on the list is the proximity to the beaches. So Wrightsville Beach is immediately in Wilmington. Carolina Beach and Cary Beach are right down the road, literally, not too far of a drive at all. And then Topsail Island is about a 35 to 40 minute drive as well. And then you have Emerald Isle and going into the Outer Banks, which is, about an hour and a half drive. Myrtle Beach is also not too far. It's about 45 minutes to an hour. And then you can get into like Charleston, South Carolina as well from Wilmington. But Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, and Cary Beach all have their own different personalities and flares. Wrightsville Beach is definitely kind of like a party beach. That's where the UNCW students go to. That's where all the military from Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville go, when they're trying to escape the immediate area of, base and Jacksonville. But then you got Carolina Beach, which is a little bit more laid back. It still is pretty party-like, but still a very, very nice beach. And then you have Cary Beach. Cary Beach is a little bit more family-friendly. It's a little bit slower of a lifestyle than Carolina and Wrightsville Beach. But once again, it's a beautiful beach, family-friendly, pet-friendly. They all are pet-friendly. But pet-friendly and great restaurants and things of that nature right there on the water. So Wilmington beaches, can't go wrong. You live in vacation land. So where people vacation and rent houses and stuff is where you live, right? So pretty sweet. And that's what I was kind of discussing in the intro of this video is like, man, how blessed are you to be able to live in a place that people only retire or vacation in, and you're not breaking the bank to do it. Number 3 is the access to the waterways. Yes, I know number 2 was the access to the beaches and proximity to the beaches, but the waterways, I'm talking about the Intercoastal Waterway, and I'm talking about the Cape Fear River. Wilmington has numerous boat slips, boat launches, harbors, things of that nature that you can go and you can drop your boat in, kayak, paddle boat, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of paddle boarders here, stand-up paddle boarders. So you can go and drop those things into the water and just spend a day on the water. There are charters. You can charter a boat. You can rent a boat. You can rent kayaks. You can rent canoes. You can rent paddle boards, all of that stuff, right? But you're not breaking the bank doing it. And, locals love the area simply because of all of the activities that you can do on the water and how laid back it actually is. Cape Fear River is extremely laid back, and the Intercoastal Waterway is very laid back as well. Number 4 on the list are the festivals and events in the area. So every single year, I think it's about April timeframe, Wilmington hosts the Azalea Festival regarding the azalea flower, and it's just a beautiful time. It's awesome. They bring music, they bring vendors. You can go and walk through, what you would consider nature, and just have a good time with the family and or friends. And then there's concerts and things of that nature too. So it's not uncommon to go to a restaurant and have musicians playing outside or inside as entertainment. It's also not uncommon to go and just find a random concert, right? You're walking down by the beach in Wrightsville Beach, or down the street and there's a bar. It's not uncommon to see just random music, something that's not necessarily scheduled, but it's just going on. That's sort of the nightlife here in Wilmington. But there are smaller festivals throughout the year, like the Azalea Fest on a much smaller level, that bring their vendors, right? Like these handmade jewelry people, or t-shirt makers, hat makers, right? Like craft creators. People of that nature, as well as like food trucks and beer trucks and all of that stuff to these festivals, and it just makes for a fantastic time with the family or the friends. Then number 5 is the sense of community in Wilmington. If you drive through pretty much any neighborhood, you're gonna see the neighborhood / community rallying around somebody or something, right? Whether it's nurses, right? And they have little signs out in their front yard for the nurses, or it's for a student graduating, or it's for somebody that has cancer and is beating cancer. And so now they have a sign in their yard or something of that nature to show support. And I know a lot of questions come in the comments about, whether or not Wilmington or a particular area is accepting of certain groups, certain demographics, right? Certain ethnicities, genders, so on and so forth. And the answer is absolutely yes. When you drive around the area, when you talk to the locals, you really understand and feel at home, right? You don't feel judged. You don't have any of that stuff. You don't feel a sense of hatred because you're, a transplant and you just moved to the area, right? Like there are some people that get upset that there's a lot of Northerners or Californians that are moving to the area, and I totally get it, right? Politics and, habits and things like that. I totally get it. However, when you talk to them, when you go and you meet them out in public or whatever, everybody is welcoming. They understand why you love the area. They understand why you're moving to the area. And there's a reason that they haven't moved out yet. So overall, it's a really great sense of community, and everybody really backs everybody. When my parents in upstate New York will ask, what are the politics like here in this part of North Carolina? And I always tell them, there are none. Nobody really cares, right? And so, I call it purple, right? Where there's a little bit of everything and it's kind of just a blend. And that's really what you feel here in the community is nobody really cares about your political agenda or anything like that. Everyone just wants to hang out, be friends, have a good time, and do their thing and be left alone. And that is what I love about this area. Where I was from in upstate New York, it was very much purple as well. Nobody really cared. It was a live and let live area. And, we just don't want that kind of thing, infiltrating our city, right? So if you're moving from New York City, if you're moving from California, just don't bring your politics, don't bring the drama with you, and everything is going to be fine. Because yes, right? Locals are going to be your friend. The community is going to rally behind you. But if you start pulling some of that nonsense, then they'll act fast and they'll get you out of there. So, I just want to make that a point, is like, everyone is live and let live here, but, don't mess around. Don't bring any of that stuff here. It's not welcomed here. And, that is ultimately why this city is so great, is just because the lack of politics here and the community, the sense of like belonging in the community. All right, moving on. Another reason why people love living in Wilmington is the history and like the culture around the arts in the area. So Wilmington is an extremely historic area. I've done a video before on this. You can see it right here. I will also link it in the description. But there is a lot of history in Wilmington dating back to the late 1700s, early 1800s, and buildings in the mid 1800s. So that are still standing today, which is really cool. You can go and see some of the museums and stuff. And then, there's the battleship and, cobblestone streets and things like that, right? It's a very artsy city. So if you're into arts, if you're into film, especially, it is the Hollywood of the East. So, if you're into any of those things, you will feel right at home here in Wilmington. But that is one of the big reasons that people love it here, because not only do you have the coastal atmosphere, but you also have the historic side of things. And you kind of get the best of both worlds in that regard. And with that said, there's a number of job opportunities in different fields. So healthcare is going to be the biggest one, education, tourism, the film industry. So if you are one of those artsy people or film lovers, producers, things like that, and you want to move to the area, there's a ton of job openings for those specific industries. Those are our major industries. When I moved here, I thought there was going to be a ton of tech and that kind of thing. There's just not. There's a few, right? There's Corning, there's Thermo Fisher, right? And some other bigger ones. But there's not a lot of tech industry here. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, so smaller businesses or just virtual, like online businesses, things like that. And then there's mom and pop souvenir shops and that kind of thing, which kind of falls into the tourism category. But if you're looking for a job in the area, those are our major sectors. And it might be beneficial for you to start looking into those bigger sectors. And moving on, another reason that people love living in Wilmington is for its mild climate. With the exception of tropical storms and hurricanes, Wilmington has a very, very mild climate. It's an awesome climate in my opinion. That's why I moved here. But winters are, they average around 60 degrees here in Wilmington. Year round, like the summer months and stuff, it's about 85 to 90 degrees. And yes, sometimes it can be unbearable with the heat and the humidity coupled together, but it's few and far between. When you have the sun out as often as it is, you really can't complain. And, I was just telling someone yesterday, so upstate New York has like 53 days of sunlight, pure sunlight. North Carolina is like 280 something days of sunlight. So if you're talking about vitamin D and being happy and, the quality of life with regard to the weather, North Carolina is where it's at. And I know California has fantastic weather and whatnot, but, there's a reason people are moving out of California and into North Carolina. North Carolina is the second most moved to state in the country, just behind South Carolina. So that tells you that, hey, something is good about the weather. Something's good about the economic opportunity. Something's good about the coastal lifestyle and the cost of living, the affordability of living in North Carolina. And especially a city like Wilmington, you just can't beat it. So when you get beach days in December and January, pretty freaking cool in my opinion. Yeah, the water's going to be a little chillier. The air is going to be a little chillier, probably like 75, right? But, rarely ever get snow. You might get a dusting here or there. And yes, everything shuts down when there's a dusting of snow. So for all you northerners that get a ton of snow, you're going to laugh at that and you're not going to be used to it because nobody's going to be on the road. They're not going to be going to work. Everything just shuts down. But overall, it's just a great environment. The rain, one thing I've noticed is that the meteorologists, I jokingly say this, but they suck just because they can never predict the weather accurately, simply because the weather moves so fast, right? They're calling for all these storms, and we get a downpour for 15 minutes and then it goes away. Reminds me a lot of Florida, right? It's super sunny. You get a random cloud and some random thunderstorms, and then it flies away, and then you have a beautiful day again and you're back at the beach. I remember one day my wife and I were looking for something to do, and I was like, hey, let's just go to the beach. So we go inside, we pack up to go to the beach. By the time we stepped outside, it was downpouring. And we're, should we go in? Should we just go to the beach anyway? We ended up going to the beach anyway. By the time we got there, it had stopped raining and everybody was off the beach already. So, it's really weird in that sense. The weather patterns just move so quickly that the weather people just can't be accurate at this point. They try, but they can't be accurate. So, I love North Carolina for that weather. Because in upstate New York, it's overcast all the time. It's raining, and it's just gloomy and miserable. And I know of plenty of other states that do that. Not here in North Carolina. You're bound to have sun at least once throughout the day. All right, guys, and I could go on and on and on and on about all the things to do in Wilmington and yada, 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 right? But what I really want you to understand is the main reasons that people live here, they love living here, and they stay, right? It's just one of those places that you don't have a lot of people moving out of, right? There's the top states that people are moving out of are like New Jersey, New York, Illinois, California, Washington State. So North Carolina is not in that list. And in fact, we're the number 2 that people are moving to. And Wilmington has a massive influx of people. And, it's not driving anyone out, but we're only bringing people in. So, with that was a couple of the reasons why people love living here in Wilmington, North Carolina. That coupled with all the things to do that you can just do a Google search and figure out, like, okay, the river walk, right? The battleship, like trampoline park, all these things. There's a lot of things to do, but those main reasons are why people stay here. And I hope you guys got something from this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe. And that phone number and email address popping up on the screen, I am the one that responds to those. So if you're looking at making a move anywhere here in the future, whether it's 9 days or 90 days, I would love to have a conversation with you and help you make that smooth move. But until the next video, guys, peace. We'll see you later.